Welcome to the most adult channel you'll ever find out there. It's Curtis YZ, and get ready to strap yourself in for the most adult stuff ever. Warning, 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 warning. This content is not for children. That being said, prepare yourself for today's topic. Should Terminator 1 be rated R? It all starts here on Curtis YZ channel. What's up everyone, it's Curtis YZ. That's right, I'm back with another Terminator 1 video. I promise this is the last one though. This is an old idea actually, and so let's get into it. Let's see how gory this movie really is. Let's just rank every gore scene that we can find really. Alright, before we get into the next bit of action, I'm going to break down that little bit. Now, that's probably, I think, the goriest part of the movie in a way. But even then, it's kind of like more of like a 6.5, 7 out of 10 on a rating of goriness. Could have been way gorier. I like what they did there. It felt very real. The Terminator's raw strength just used his arm as a sheer blunt force weapon. Brutal. I do like this scene a lot because it is brutal without being extremely over the top, gory or anything. It was actually very realistic. I like that about it. The only gory part really was his hand. A lot of people think that he pulled his heart out. That's a little dramatic, and I don't think he does that. If you look back and pause it, you'll see it's just a clenched fist that's very bloody, which is more cool to me anyways. But I like a 7 out of 10, so pretty gory, but it could have been way gorier, but to be honest, that would have made it ridiculous. So I guess in a way it's a 10 out of 10 gore. So it is at max goriness, considering it is pretty realistic for the context of the movie. Under the frame of what we know the Terminator is able to do and all these things, realistically, what the movie is providing us with the rules of the universe, this feels very realistic. Next exact moment of action.
What day is it? The date?
12th, May, Thursday.
What year?
Obviously, he just gets away. 1 out of 10 gory. Very Pg-13 feeling. Nothing significantly crazy. I do like the way that the officer fired the gun. It felt very realistic. The way that the sound felt. Listening to it in headphones, it sounded incredible. And it was actually, it kind of scared me a little bit, that noise. The music, again, it is, that score is specifically designed to scare you, and it works so good. So that's what I like about this first one. It actually has very compelling effects when it comes to the sound design and the way this whole movie is set up. So let's move on to the next bit of action. So this is actually the next little bit of action.
The 12 gauge autoloader.
That's Italian. You can go pump or auto.
The 45 long slide with laser sighting.
These are brand new. We just got them in. That's a good gun. Just touch the trigger, the beam comes on, and you put the red dot where you want the bullet to go. You can't miss.
I like how they actually show like
Anything
the
else?
technology that he's
Phased
using
plasma rifle
so
in
that
a
the
40
audience
watt range.
knows.
Phased plasma rifle in a 40-watt range.
Hey, just what you see, pal.
I like how the Terminator's like, I'm just gonna try. You never know if they have it.
Your weapons, buddy. Any one of these is ideal for home defense. So, which will it be?
All.
I may close early today. There's a
Like
15-day
how he
wait
gets
on
all
the
excited.
handguns, but the rifles you can take right now.
So what this camera, extreme close-up on the danger, then
You can't do that.
Wrong.
it shows nothing but a barrel. This is not R-rated material. In my opinion, it is extremely well executed PG-13 quality filmmaking, and that's what's so respectable about it. You don't really need to see And that's what I love about it. You don't need to see what happened in this case because it shows the guy kind of move back, like you see him get blasted, but there's no blood or anything. And then you just cuts to this incredible visual of the actual terror in the shot. It just explains everything so well. It doesn't need to be shown because it's got that impact.
Can't do that.
Wrong.
It all comes together. It's very boom. And it just shows the impact of the actual firing of the weapon itself. Your mind almost fills in the gaps for it. So, I mean, I guess you could argue that because it's visual aesthetics, that I guess you can argue that that makes it R. But in my opinion, that's, you know, kind of a subjective way of looking at it. From what I'm seeing, that is the most PG-13 action gore you could ever ask for. But nonetheless, doesn't feel like an R-rated movie to me watching it again.
Whoa! Don't make me bust you up, man!
Hi there. I fooled you. You're talking.
Wow. Terrifying. I would still argue still PG-13 when it comes to gore. That is not very gory. The blood looks really fake. That's like the most nitpickiest thing about that scene. Besides that, everything is extremely haunting and well executed. It's probably one of the freakiest scenes in this whole movie because of just how sudden he comes bursting through the door and the cutting back and forth between her dancing to this attack scene. Freaky. Right when she gets hit, there's no blood or anything. It's very impactful. What I'm pointing out is that when she gets hit, there's no blood or anything. It just shows her hand with a little blood. Very PG-13. Freaky, but PG-13.
Hi there.
Right here.
You're talking.
You know, that laser had to have been on some sort of swivel so that it could remain so steady, but I love the attention to detail. How steady that laser is very machine-like, not like a human. Very well executed shots. Minute detail, but they paid attention to those little details. This is the next little bit of action.
Hey, that guy didn't pay!
PG-13. So far, very PG-13. There's like no blood on that guy or anything. It looks pretty realistic to me, but besides that, not very gory or anything crazy. Very PG-13 in comparison to a lot of things we see. You know, he's a machine. There's not very much blood. Barely shows anything. This is the one with the T2 score. All PG-13. Like no, there's like very minuscule amount of blood. Hey! Even like this shot doesn't even show the actual effect. That's the same dog used in Terminator 2 also. Max, Wolfie. All this stuff is incredible. I love all this. So he shot up a bed. That's very PG-13. He got hit by a truck. PG-13. All very PG-13 action.
You stay here.
That was all very PG-13 looking to me. If I ever saw something that was very R-rated gore, I mean, that wasn't it. We assume the Terminator killed him. We just see him throw him down, and that's very PG-13.
Let's get out of here.
Get out.
I mean, I guess you could argue that's R-rated gore, but I think you could also argue that's PG-13 looking gore. Ultimately, because of the language and the sex scene, this should be an R-rated movie. But besides that, just the gore alone, this is pretty much a PG-13 movie. Even then, it still hardly showed anything. You know. And there's this. Not that much blood and guts in the movie. I mean, you could chalk that up to because of the time, you know, it came out. They only had the ability to do so much. But look at what they were able to accomplish with the little bit amount that they had. Now we get blood all over the place. Doesn't look realistic. Look at this is this is after he got blown up practically by a pipe bomb, and there's minuscule amount of damage from what we could see. It didn't blow him to pieces. It looks like shrapnel tore him up, and probably the percussion, I would assume. Besides that, you know, it doesn't show this horrifically crazy blood going all over the place, all the CGI these days. That's what we see in today's movies. The day of realistic movies without CGI is long gone. Sometimes you need to be able to do it without it. sometimes. In my opinion, like, the things that they were able to do in this movie still are astonishing in comparison to so many modern films that are considered great films. This movie still has it all. It's horror, it's sci-fi, it's a franchise building movie. This is everything that it would take, just like Star Wars, because it has this whole other side to it that we still haven't even seen, the future war that we want to see. Oh yeah, that's the only other bit of action. So most of the action we see here is just sparks and explosion, kind of like the effects we see out of Power Rangers, but it works so well here because we're dealing with plasma and technologies that we don't fully understand because this is the future, and obviously we have nothing like this in the real world, nothing to this scale. It's not gory, and it's very flashy, and it looks very cool to me. It looks very realistic, and I guess that is ultimately the only argument they have on this, is that it looks so real that it could be rated R. And I give it that. It should be a rated R movie, ultimately. But the point of this video is, there's not that much gore in this movie. It's mostly all in your head. Most of the gore is just from the visuals and the impact of the camera work, and how James Cameron is able to make it so that you think of it yourself. It's not, he doesn't have to show you before the action hits. You've already imagined it in your head what it looks like. He just gives you the situation, and then as the situation runs through, he basically feeds you what's happening, and when you finally see that on screen, regardless of how gory it is, your mind has already thought of how bad or how devastating the impact of these kinds of things are. The way that he set so much of this up through the lens allows the viewer to automatically, he leads us to those thoughts before he actually shows or doesn't show us. So it's just incredible the way he did all this, because you never really think about it. You never think, oh, there's not a lot of gore in Terminator, it's just the way he filmed it. But that's really what it is. There's not that much gore in this movie. It's just the way he filmed it is so visually impactful that we, the audience members, kind of fill in that gore ourselves. At least in my opinion, that's what it feels like for me. So no blood, no gore. Again, extremely realistic as far as I'm concerned. But it is very lacking in gore. So, and I like that. I like that it's, looking back on it, I was like, wow, this is also not very gory. So that's it. That's my review of Terminator. Yes, it's rated R, it should be rated R, but a lot of the action in this movie is actually very PG-13 in my opinion. It's just the concept itself, a lot of the visual filming, a lot of the cinematography and the camera work, the editing. So much of it is the score, quick shots of this or that. There is very little blood and guts in this movie, but every death in this movie does have a very impactful weight to it because it is so realistic and hard-hitting. as well as the acting and performances. I just think it's kind of ironic that, looking back on it, it's just not even that gory of a movie. It almost shouldn't be even rated R. But that's my take. This is the last Terminator 1 video. If you like content like this, then smash that like button, go down there and subscribe, become a member of the Curtis YZ subscribers group of people club for adults today. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy.